reporting on the games you love by people who love to game. The MMO Reporter Network.
You're logging into your favorite game, grinding out some gear. A couple of points added to your stats, and you have a virtual beer. Max level is pretty cool, but I'll remind you here, my friend. These games are not about the goal, it's about the journey and not the end.
You're listening to MMO Reporter on the MMO Reporter Network, brought to you by Doghouse Systems. Choose your weapons with Doghouse Systems. Audible, find your next great read at audibletrial.com/MMO Reporter, and by GoDaddy. Put your website to work while you play.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need.
Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of MMO Reporter. This is episode 198. I'm Chris, and I am joined by my favorite guy who likes to spend much money on learning big words. Hi, Bill.
I'll have you know that every one of my big words I have come by honestly.
Oh, really? Are you sure about that?
Absolutely true. I have never ever taken a course on just adding big. See, now that I'm on the spot, I don't even have big words.
Yeah, that's just the way things work, huh?
I'm monosyllabic. Ooh.
Why is monosyllabic a word with so many syllables? But
And the other voice that you hear there, of course, is none other than the wonderful teacher extraordinaire, Mr. at Harry Hall. Harry, what can you teach us about MMOs today?
well, rule number one: you guys are wrong. I'm right.
That's
How's
true.
that?
That's pretty much usually
Keep
the
that
rule.
in mind when we're discussing things. Just that helps. It guides you.
Okay. Well, we'll remember that. Thanks, Harry. We've got lots to talk about, mostly because Harry's list is so freaking long of what he's played this week. So I'm going to get right into the show here because I don't want to wait any longer. Bill, what have you been doing in game?
Well, I was planning for this eventuality in that I knew Harry was going to have a huge week of gaming.
Hello,
It was just
guys?
a little bit
Guys?
prescient on that.
Hold on.
Guys,
Can you
are
not
you there?
Yeah? Can you not hear us?
Hello?
Hello? Hello?
What happened there? Hello?
And I'm feeling that Harry is in.
We're sending out. Oh, no, it was an internet issue.
Wah, wah.
That was a good intro, too.
I know, right?
Let's see if we can get it back. Hello, Harry.
Hello?
There you
Am
go.
I he-
That was an internet. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you, but
Oh,
it
good.
was very unexpected.
That was an internet issue because all you did was call again, and you came back. You're back, Harry.
I actually didn't. It's Skype called automatically, I think. But hi.
Well, anyways,
I-
we could hear you, no problem.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
You were just gone.
Well, that happens sometimes. I'm just gone. It's sad, but people get
So-
over it.
How do we pick this up?
I think we just go right into what we've been doing in game, and we keep that as part of the show because it is exciting radio here.
This is the most fascinating bit. Technical difficulties is always my
Correct.
favorite in every show.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. Bill, what have you been playing in game this week?
Well, as I was saying, I was a bit prescient in Harry's
Oh.
gigantic list. And only played a couple games this week. I played World of Warcraft. Chris and I actually hit a milestone. It was a tie. Chris and I tend to have a little bit of a competition when it comes to leveling. It goes back many, many years. I think it was. I don't think it was even. It might have even been WoW where we initially started to have this
LOTRO.
competitive level. No, I think it was
LOTRO.
even before LOTRO.
LOTRO was first of our gameplay together.
Yeah, that
'Cause I
was on
nev-
the internet.
Yeah,
before anyway.
WoW wasn't before the internet. I just have to set you straight
but
there.
I never hit max level in WoW until Wrath.
Yeah.
And you did, and that's their point. I get it. I'm slow. Sorry. Right.
Anyway, that's okay. We still love you. So anyway, Chris and I, through teamwork and just brotherly working togetherness, we actually tied and we hit level 100 within moments of each other. So it was a magic.
Yay! We hit level 100.
It was not even competitive. We don't even need to mention that I did it first, and it was a great moment in gaming. So that was fun.
You're so generous.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. You know what the problem was? I was ahead of him. I was at like 89%, but I had finished a bunch of quests in the Grand, and instead of moving ahead and doing my own thing, I went back and played with Bill. And,
that's what I'm saying. It was teamwork.
And
it was a beautiful moment.
Going over his quests meant that he surpassed me.
You are like Sir Edmund Hillary and Sherpa Tensei getting to the top of Mount Everest, and then you both keep quiet about who was first. And that's so good about you. Even though Bill was first, he just doesn't mention it.
I don't like to bring up how I was first. Like it feels a little bit gauche.
Right.
So I'm not going to mention it 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, thanks. Yeah.
So
anyways, on that awkward moment where Bill does not brag about beating me to level 100 in WoW.
He's not like that.
No, he's not like that at all.
I would never. I've been playing Hearthstone as well. Hearthstone is actually, I'm finding that's the game that I'm playing for my son, actually. For whatever reason, he's 3 years old. He adores Hearthstone as the game where you throw cards in the dirt. That's what Hearthstone is to him. But he loves it. That's what we do on a lazy Saturday morning when he's woken up and he's got his pancake coma going on. We sit down and we play Hearthstone for an hour, and he just loves it. So it's family time.
Nice.
So that's very cool. And speaking of family time, Asani and I were playing Guild Wars 2 together. We're just slowly trucking along. We're still finishing the first season stories on alts that we made. My alt there is an engineer, and I so regret playing an engineer.
Oh, really?
I really wanted the engineer to be my favorite class because turrets and stuff. I just thought, you know what, this is what I want to do. Big fights. I want to strategically place my turrets around and have them produce effects while I sit there, and I'm more like the conductor rather than the executor of big damage. And you just can't do that. The engineer turrets and the engineer in Guild Wars 2 are just not designed for that. Turrets are at best a very slight dot that you can add, and it's almost a waste of a skill. So Guild Wars 2 experts out there, please theory craft me wrong here, but I'm actually thinking that I'm going to run up a warrior to play alongside Isani, either that or a necromancer. I'm not sure yet.
Warrior's fun. Have you tried Guardian yet?
I have tried Guardian, and granted, I've only played it really solo.
Right.
But it's so slow. Like I was raised on a thief in Guild Wars 2, so I'm used to striking fast, killing fast, moving on to the next thing fast.
Yeah.
So the patience that a guardian is required for a guardian is a bit beyond me in Guild Wars 2. I could get there, I think, if I was playing in a semi-regular group because I can see the utility.
Yeah.
But
well, you know what? Guardian staff is fun with a group.
Yeah.
Especially if you play as an Asura, because you literally plant the staff and then swing around it. And that is the one skill that I use probably more than I need to, just because it's that much fun.
What level is your engineer, by the way?
80.
Oh, it is actually, you fully leveled it up. I was going to say the first 20 levels.
Yeah, the middle levels were actually really good. I would say from 40-ish through 70-ish, it was really good. I was really happy with my damage. It was kind of fun. But the more we're getting into the undead areas in the southeast corner there, The mobs are too thick to really plan anything. You have to be too reactive, and the turrets are just too useless to really have a big effect. So yeah, wah wah. So
yeah,
anyway.
I did some PvP with the engineer, and I found it fun. Although I did have more fun with my thief, I will say.
Thief is gorgeous for PvP. Like, even when you lose, it's still fun.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
So, anyway, that's been pretty much my week. How about you, Harry? Have you had a drink of water? Because I have a feeling this is going to wear you out a bit.
I've played Dragon Age Inquisition, Grand Theft Auto 5 multiplayer, Danganronpa, Persona 4, SteamWorld Dig, Destiny, The Crew, Shovel Knight, Evil Line, Sword Art Online, and Guild Wars 2.
Jeez, I was losing my breath from that.
Well, as I was saying, I tore my Achilles heel, and I was kind of not able to walk, so I had to think ahead if I had to go somewhere and just stay there.
I know the feeling. I absolutely know the feeling.
Yeah, so even though I was able to work since I'm a writer, I also didn't have... I mean, we're winding down the year, so it's getting a little bit more relaxed. So the combination of not being able to get out of the house and having a list of games kind of works. I will not go through every game, just a couple of highlights. Dragon Age Inquisition, the single-player game, is gorgeous and fantastic, and the multiplayer just sucks.
Really? I didn't find it sucked.
Well, you know what the problem? You have fantastic games and you have very bad games, and this one is the worst offender of all. It's completely forgettable and mediocre. It is Diablo without the loot. And I can imagine having more fun with this while playing with actual friends that I know. Yes. But I did one of those dungeons with 3 other matched players on the PlayStation 4 network. And just going through room after room, doing basically a World of Warcraft dungeon run without loot, but you just get gold after a kill. And then doing this kind of mediocre boss fight at the end.
No, you can get some loot as well.
Yeah, I was definitely not impressed. I mean, it looks like a Final Fantasy XIV dungeon, but it really isn't, because Final Fantasy XIV has amazing dungeon design. I'm comparing it because I'm playing it on controller, obviously. So
yeah,
no, it's not. It's if I have the choice of any other multiplayer session, this is not going to be it.
No, and I kind of agree with you, and I kind of disagree with you a little bit. I like the idea. I don't know if I like the implementation, but I like the idea of the way in which they lock the classes. That's kind of a fun way to do it. But what kept on jumping in my mind, and do you remember after PAX me talking about Shadow Realms? I mean, this is so much, and that, unfortunately, because of a game that I played 3 rounds of at PAX, it's still an alpha. It's not even it's like pre-alpha. That soured the experience a little bit to me. But then again, I did have fun. Like, I did enjoy it. I wouldn't buy the game specifically for that gameplay mode, but I've gone back a few times since I did my video on it. So it really, to me, it's why did they bother? The only reason I can think of is that this is kind of this prototype for a standalone game that they're developing, because I can see the like
potential.
Shadow Realms. Like, well, imagine those dungeons. I will just, now that you've played that, imagine that same format of 5 areas linked by a room that you sort of reset yourself in, right?
Yeah.
But imagine that there's somebody actively working against you while you are doing that. And imagine that you have made a character. Not that you picked a character, you have made a character. Put all those things in there, and that's a very, very rough version of what Shadow Realms is. And to me, that sounds way, way more enticing to me than the multiplayer of Dragon Age Inquisition. But I'll take what I get.
Chris, just if you will, try to forget that there is such a thing as Shadow Realms just for a second. if you then just look at the Dragon Age Inquisition multiplayer, it is Diablo, but without the interesting bits of Diablo. It's 4 people grinding through rooms, killing stuff, and at the end of each session is a refresh point, and you rinse and repeat. But I don't want to spend all my time talking about a game.
I kind of disagree, but the thing is, I don't completely disagree, and that makes it harder. If I completely disagreed with you, I could have some really valid arguments. Unfortunately, you're kind of right. I just enjoyed that experience more than you did, is really what it comes down to.
Kind of right is the best kind of right.
No, technically right is the best kind of right.
I forgot, sorry.
And again, I was technically right. Sorry. Grand Theft Auto 5 Online, again, great playing with friends. Not that fantastic if you're playing it with strangers, even though it still works. I had some interesting encounters. I bought an apartment in the game, a $500,000 apartment with a big screen television and the telescope to,
Sorry, here, let me get you a little bit more into the. There you go. There's a little Grand Theft Auto for you, just to get you in the mood.
I adore the online portion. I've had some very interesting missions with friends. Now I want to get rid of my stars, and that's. Stop it!
Anyways,
Chris is so happy with his soundboard.
I got a whole setup tonight. Woo! Yeah.
I played Persona 4. I'm 40 hours into Persona 4. It's
40 hours,
and I still feel like I'm like at 2/3 of the game or something. I feel I'm going into the final act.
What is Persona 4?
It's a JRPG.
Oh,
I've talked about this before. It is a.
It's not the one where you have to rub the back of your Vita.
No,
is it?
No. This is much more wholesome. This is more kind of a Japanese take on Twin Peaks. It's a bad analogy, but it's the best way. It's a couple of high school kids in an actual Japanese high school, little Japanese town. And people get killed, and they discover this is where it's getting weird in Japanese, that there is this alternate dimension that they can access through a television, where people's fears and hidden personas and hidden sides of themselves are personified in dungeons, and half of the game is ordinary mundane life, like going to school, doing homework, making friends, having a job on the side, and the other part is going through the dungeons and rescuing people that have been trapped in this alternate dimension. And the story is fantastic, the writing is great, it has some fantastic characters, and it gives you this oddly realistic slice of Japanese life. The fantastical elements obviously not that realistic, I mean, but it is one of the best games I've ever played. I put it aside because it just took too long and I had to get to other games. But it's not because it was boring. It's more like if you've invested 30 hours in a game and there is this pile of backlog, sometimes you just have to move on. I picked it back up and I'm thoroughly enjoying it again.
And is this on Vita?
This is on Vita and on PlayStation 3, and they've just announced that Persona 5 is on the way, launching on PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. And I'm holding out hope that it's going to be on Vita, because these kinds of long games are just perfect for the handheld.
Right. Very interesting.
To counter that, little game called SteamWorld Dig. You remember Dig Dug back in the arcade days?
Uh-huh.
This is kind of what an indie studio does with that concept and taking it to a whole new level. You are a little robot, and all you can do at first is dig down into a mine shaft. And the object, and there is this little story of robots trying to find out what happened to the civilization before them. And you dig down, and there are creatures. If you dig in the wrong spot, you will free them, and you have to fight those. It's a very nice Western-themed indie game that was, quote-unquote, free with PlayStation Plus, and that's the subscription service for Vita and PlayStation 3 and 4. A very fun game. I played a little bit of Destiny again, because they sent me an email, an actual physical, real-world email. Well, not physical, obviously, asking me to come back to the game. And if I would please come back, I would get some legendary weapons from them. So what can you say? You say, okay, what the hell? I'll just fire it up.
Wait.
2 hand cannons that I didn't want.
It's a trap.
It was. Not only did I get 2 legendary weapons that are exactly the same, and both I didn't want, but also I was playing Destiny again.
Which, you know what? In the end of things, is not a horrible thing. Destiny is not a bad game. It's just not the game that everybody thought it was.
Hang on a second here. How difficult or how much of a big deal is it to get a legendary weapon? This is coming from a guy who's gotten legendary weapons with air quotes in Lord of the Rings Online. I've gotten more of those than I've got like pointed sticks dropping from mobs.
This is actual grind your ass off till it bleeds type of legendary weapons.
Okay, so let's back this up a tick then. You're a Destiny player.
Backed up.
Smooth.
That was unexpected. Continue, Bill.
You're a Destiny player, and you have the option of A, grinding out a bunch of dungeon runs or instances or that kind of thing, PvP for hours and hours, or take 2 weeks off and get a legendary.
I found a flaw in their plan. Yeah.
This seems a little bit backwards to me.
Well, they really wanted me back in the game because they sent several emails. Please come get your legendary weapon. Please come and get it. All our prices are insane. It's actually while I was there, I mean the loading times are atrocious. So I mean if you've loaded into, so at least get some gameplay done. And I still enjoy the actual gameplay part, and I'm looking forward to the expansion, which drops today. And I've gotten the expansion.
Did you get the DLC? Do you have the season's pass?
The Dark Below is launching today. Well, when you're listening to this, a week ago. And I'm very curious if they're going to fix the game with the DLC, because they left stuff out. I have no illusion that this is new stuff that they signed after launch. What they're doing in the expansion is probably what should have been in the main game. But I'm curious to see what they're doing there. I logged into EVE Online. Enough with that. I love those new skill queues, by the way. They're infinite. It's infinite skill queues. I get a little warning on my iPhone when the skill queue runs out. So I get like, oh, your character has 24 hours of skills left. So I just logged in and put another 3 months of skill training in there. Log back out.
That's not what it's meant to be, is it?
I'm happy with this. I'm playing EVE with...
You've got a system here, Harry. You've got Destiny farming legendaries for you. Yes. EVE leveling your characters for you. World of Warcraft just doing everything for you.
It's just Insta 90. Yeah, right. If you just stay away from these games, good things happen.
Yeah, that's all you have to do is not play.
If you just don't play.
Right.
We'll talk about that later. The Crew I played, I think that's an interesting concept. That's a car MMO, a racing MMO.
Yeah, I watched a stream of that, and it seemed interesting. Not something that I would necessarily play all the time, but interesting.
It is, the word is interesting. The reality is this is Assassin's Creed with cars. Even if this sounds odd, but every Ubisoft game is Assassin's Creed now.
What do you mean? You have to explain that a little bit more, because that doesn't make sense.
I know it doesn't make sense, but Ubisoft starts with one skeleton design, and they fill that in with either assassins or cars or with manslaughter, in the case of Far Cry 4. You have this big map, and on this map there's this storyline that is way over the top. It's kind of like... It's what's the Vin Diesel you have these racing movies about going undercover.
Fast and Furious?
Little boys playing with matchbox cars, pretending to be FBI agents. That's the story of the crew. But you have these points on the map that you can take missions, and rather than kill somebody in Assassin's Creed, it's doing a race or doing a stunt jump. But the most blatant bit is in Assassin's Creed you have these lookout points, right?
Right.
And if you have to climb it,
right?
You synchronize, and you get the rest of a new bit of the map open to you with all the missions there, rather than having to climb a tower with a car, which is a thing I would love to see, by the way. You actually have to drive your car off-road to these listening posts, these radars or whatever. You have to find them, and you have this radar bleeping when you're getting closer, and it's just going, weaving between trees and going over hills, and then finally you see this big dish, this antenna, and then you synchronize, and you get the same animation of the camera panning around your car and
like
showing you
the
new area. Yeah, and it is the same structure as Assassin's Creed or as Far Cry 4.
Far Cry 4 does the same thing?
Yeah, and I've mentioned this. No, I didn't mention this before. The thing that made me really laugh was you have towers in Far Cry 4 that are just like lookouts in Assassin's Creed. Obviously, it's Ubisoft. And you remember, if you climb a tower and a lookout point in Assassin's Creed, what do you always see at the top of that point?
A bird.
Right, it's an eagle.
Yeah.
The first tower I climbed on in Far Cry 4, I got attacked by an eagle.
Oh, really?
And I thought this was a hidden message from the Far Cry 4 team to Assassin's Creed Unity, which failed miserably. I may be just, again, reading too much into it. I find it interesting.
A little bit. That's okay. We love you anyway.
I know. Sword Art Online, Shovel Knight I played. It's a very nice little indie game, harkening back to the NES and SNES days of gaming. I haven't played too much of it to actually have a judgment, but it plays fun. It has great music for a chiptune, in a chiptune kind of way.
I actually played that for. Oh, sorry, I was just saying. I agree with you. I played that for about half an hour at PAX, and I agree. It was a complete blast back to the 80s. Like, they definitely made an old 80s platformer that was really cool.
Oh, awesome.
I could actually see this game just working as it is on a old style console like the SNES, without any problems.
Mm-hmm.
So I like that. I mean, you don't need high technology to make a fun game. Absolutely not. Sword Art Online is a single-player MMO simulation dating game. It's Japanese, enough said.
Is this the one where you touch the back of your Vita again?
You're kind of obsessed with that. It's something you're missing in your life.
A Vita, apparently.
Apparently, you want to stroke a Vita. And finally, Guild Wars 2. I've done some actual structured PvP in there.
Oh.
I wanted to see what they'd done to the structured PvP systems, and it's basically streamlined. It's easier to get into a match. But it's still the same basic idea. I mean, it's not that I feel they've changed the actual fights, but the infrastructure around it is much better, and the menu systems are better. You just have the better browser. It's just all around easier to get into a fight, into a ranked match, and it's still fun, even though I suck now, because two reasons. I haven't played for a long time, and I've got a new keyboard, and finding my 1 through 6 keys on my new keyboard apparently is more difficult than I thought.
Is it a Dvorak or something? Or
actually, it is just a standard USB Apple keyboard.
But there you go. That's why.
It's I don't know. It's also because you have to do so many things at once, and
can you hear him, Bill?
No.
I can hear you.
Oh, there we go. Now you're back. You cut out mid-sentence again. What the heck is up with that? What's up with your internet?
I'm being censored, I think.
I think so.
Okay, but I can just say I like Guild Wars 2. I'm going to play it again. So, Chris, what did you do in game?
We already talked about World of Warcraft, but I actually played a few dungeons, which Bill didn't get a chance to do. And I did the one, and I wish I could remember what it's called. Grim something or something like that. Just kind of showing it there. I've got my little video that I recorded of it playing for the live stream. And it's cool because it takes place on a train. And I really like that. I just watched that Snowpiercer movie with Captain America dude. Mm-hmm. I forget what his name is. But anyways, so that's all about trains and working your way from one end of the train to the other. And so was this. And there's the part that I'm showing right now is actually the part where the sides of the train open up. And if you walk on the outside, you actually get pushed back by the wind. Really cool mechanic. I really enjoyed it. That's my thing. I have to say, it's funny that as soon as I hit 100, now when I'm logging in, there's just so much to do. It's a little bit overwhelming, I have to admit, with my garrison and my crafting stuff that I need to level up and all the different quests that I want to finish and all. It's overwhelming. And without that direction of, leveling to 100, then now it's like, what do I do first? Mm-hmm. And it's not quite overwhelming, but it is quite daunting. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have any sort of suggestions for that, but maybe our listeners can send me something. Any suggestion from you guys? Because wow,
I still haven't figured it out. I'm having the same problem. I sit there and I look at all my options, and then I go mine in the garrison and then log off.
Oh, fishing! I've got to do my fishing too.
That's your choice?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, I've been doing that, and I have to say I've got I'm a little bit hesitant to record my first report episode for Rift because I'm just not loving the expansion, and it was fine to start out with, and I don't know what it is because they didn't do anything wrong, but WoW did everything better. Oh, I hate to say that. I really do. Like, they have a very similar minion system where you can send minions out on missions, but it's just a little UI element that pops up and you pick your minion and they level up too, and you get to send them out to do stuff and they get you crafting rewards. It's closer, I think, to the SWTOR type of mission systems than it is to the WoW system. Yeah. But although I think both owe some lineage to that system in SWTOR. Yeah. The WoW just did that better. Sort of the alternate advancement stuff is okay in Rift. I like that they did that, not just added more talent points. But I'm just not into the world, and I don't know why.
You must realize this is absolute fact that all other MMOs exist to make World of Warcraft a better game.
But here's the thing.
I was gonna laugh, but there's more than just a little bit of truth to that.
I played WoW at the same time that I played Rift, and I went back to Rift. I was into Rift. What is it about? Is it this particular time where Bill and I and Josh were playing together and we got, dungeon runs all planned? Is it that social aspects that's drawing me back into WoW? Because I don't think that the Rift expansion sucks. I think that everyone who liked Rift and would like more of what Rift offers should go and go through that expansion. I think that. But
the social aspect is always the biggest. A game that sucks can become great fun with friends. And if a game is good in and of itself, then having a regular group of people, it wins over a better game any day.
Yeah, so that's, I guess that's sort of where I am at. And it's really hard because I really respect the folks over at Tryon Worlds. And I really respect what they put. I know, but it kind of feels like, because and that's why I'm hesitant to record the video, because it's going to be interesting to put my own feelings aside and sort of talk objectively about the game, because a lot of what First Report is about impressions and thoughts and feelings about the game. So I'm going to have to really work on preparing for that one. I played Spider-Man Unlimited. I actually did a first report episode. The first time we did a first report episode on an iPad title. And
right, I played that too. Wait, I have to put it on my list.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
just keep going.
It's a fun game, isn't it?
It is. It is very fun. It's. I played it on iPhone, by the way, and it's perfectly suited to the portrait mode gameplay. It's very fun.
Yeah, and I played it. I've played it on iPhone and on iPad. I have, and the cool thing is that cloud saves too, so you can go back and forth between the two. The animations are great. The way in which the system works of getting you to get more Spider-Man, to get more leveling, basically, and all that sort of stuff is really interesting. And it works free to play, although it's slow as bleep free to play. I will have to admit that. But yeah, it's fun. For those of you who don't know or can't see the video version, Spider-Man Unlimited is a like a 3-lane runner type of game. Is there a term for that type of game, Harry, that you've heard of?
I would call it an infinite runner, but it's not really because it's actually in levels. But
well,
again,
the play mode is infinite if you just go through the play mode. But it's tied into comics and issues and stuff.
It's like the Jungle Run or Treasure Run or something. It's similar to that.
Then they've got a Race the Stig game that's somewhat similar. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and if you want to check that out, check out First Report episode 11, and you can see my thoughts on that game. And then, of course, some more Dragon Age Inquisition. Harry Hall, I want to thank you. I have gone back to my main character.
I can't hear you anymore.
You're joking, right?
I can't hear you.
Is he joking?
No, I'm not joking. Now you're back again. No, seriously, I was not joking. I could not hear you. The first thing I heard again was, is he joking? You said thanks Harry Hall for, and it went silent, and the next thing I heard is he joking?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I believe you. Anyways,
I do not joke
Harry
about
Hall,
technical difficulties.
I want to thank you. I want to thank you because I went back to Dragon Age. I went to my main character, my mage, and when I got tired of my mage, I jumped onto one of the other characters, like you suggested, and kept the story going that way. I still have my other saves that I can go back to and play through the game with those characters, but it does really change things up, and I don't know why I hadn't thought of that, why I was so attached in gameplay-wise to my main character as the only playable character, which is not the case. So, thanks, Harry.
It makes sense to feel that way, and I had these little twinges as well, but you just have the same freedom. You can even level them and choose their skills the same way. You can customize everything just like it would be your main character. It's just the story is not run from the point of view of that rogue or whatever.
Yeah.
But everything else is fantastic.
Yeah. So, Harry Hall, thank you ever so much.
I saved Dragon Age. Not only did I save the game in the game world, I saved the game for you.
Thanks.
Hooray!
Bill, was that you?
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyways, so that's it for what we've been doing in game. That's how long what we've been doing in game there. Want to mention real quick our Patreon campaign. Everyone should go check that out. Patreon.com/MMO Reporter. If you like what we do here on the show, go support us. And you never know what will come out of your support. The more you support us, the more we can do as a network. The more shows we can do, the more funny one-off things that we can do. And that all comes from your support. So check it out. Patreon.com/MMO Reporter. And of course, if you want to go on iTunes and give us a 5-star review, we'd be happy to mention you on the show. And just check it out there. Give us a review. Let us know what you think. All right, guys, I think it's time to move on to the news.
Well, it appears that Turbine and Warner Brothers have decided to take no more chances on their in-game music. They've made the change that their music and like the background music is not going to be the orchestral pieces that have been put together by Chance Thomas. Instead, they're going to go with their own in-house music production team. So Chance Thomas apparently posted up on Facebook and was picked up by a few LOTRO blogs as well as the forums at lotro.com that he is saying his farewells to the LOTRO team and will be moving on to other things. So this is a bit of a kick in the teeth for LOTRO, I think. And I think so far from what I've been reading on the blogs and in the forums that most people agree and feel this way.
Yeah, and my thoughts on the whole thing are sort of mixed, because I do think that the guys in house are very talented at Turbine, but my issue is really with the sound quality of the virtual instruments that they use versus the orchestral stuff that they did for the original game Mines of Moria and for Riders of Rohan, which I noticed that stuff, and it sounds really preppy, or I can't think of the words to say, but it sounds really, like stuck up for me to say that when I say it. Snobbish, thank you. But that's just, I notice the virtual instruments. It's just something about it, and that really breaks the immersion for me.
Yep.
And I noticed it playing in Riders of Rohan, how wonderful it was, and then there were some parts right before Riders of Rohan where they had added some new music, and it was virtual instruments, and I think we even talked about it on the show then. So it is too bad. Is this a sign that while they are putting out more content, really they're just trying to hold on to the players that they've got and will not be expecting any sort of growth in the game?
It does, to me. It feels like a non-growth maneuver. Like this is a. It feels like a money shuffle that they think they can get away with. That's not going to lead to big losses for them or anything like that.
Yeah.
And I disagree. Like when I think of many games. The thing that sticks with me a long time after I've finished playing, or or what inspires me to come back to a game, is often just catching a little note or just thinking a little bit about the ambient music for a zone. Like I think like World of Warcraft is a awesome / terrible example of that, because I can hear themes from Zangarmarsh in Burning Crusade or something along those lines, and I just, even though I might have like 14 other games that I'd rather play, all of a sudden there's something tugging at my heartstrings for WoW. I mean, LOTRO is really the same thing. Like when I think about LOTRO, I catch a little, just a piece of some of the certainly the Chance Thomas bits and everything like that. And when it's not there, I just
this song does it for me. Absolutely every time. LOTRO Legacy is absolutely my favorite. I think it might be my favorite of all of his works.
Yeah.
LOTRO.
But the original stuff, I mean, I still love the music for the Lowlands. I mean, the atmosphere of that was fantastic.
Yeah. It's too bad. And I remember the petition coming out, and we talked about it on the show, and Chance sent me an email, and we corresponded back and forth a couple of times, and it's too bad that they've chosen to go this way. I don't begrudge Turbine or have any ill feelings. This is a business decision at this point in the game's life that is now 8 years old, or nearly so. And I don't think you can. I don't think you can really blame Turbine either, because I bet you if you're talking to the game producer, he'd probably love to have Chance Thomas in there and getting some really high quality cuts from him for all the new content they're doing. But it smacks very much of, okay, your budget has been slashed by 12%. What are you going to do to keep everything in, or to keep running? Yeah. Yeah. I agree wholeheartedly, and that's just sort of what it is, I guess. All right, next piece of news here. We have something that is absolutely amazing, and those of you who have not, don't often watch the video version of the podcast, you need to be watching it for this particular occasion, because I'm going to show you something freaking amazing. Elite Dangerous is a game that all of us have played and have been enjoying. And I know that I've been seriously looking at a Rift, Oculus Rift development kit too, for the possibility of being able to play this game and Star Citizen as well. But someone went just a little bit further with their Star Citizen setup, using a few extra monitors as well as 3 projectors. This gentleman has set up an absolutely amazing, I would call it almost like Rift level of immersion without a Rift. Right? Now, have you guys had a chance to see this this video?
Yes.
I saw the pictures. I didn't see the video, but the pictures were enough to make me drool.
Yeah, so it is absolutely amazing. The one thing that it doesn't do that the Rift does is that it everything is moves to the center screen. So when you go to open up your navigation or anything, it's not on the side view there. It moves over to the center, so the view kind of shifts there. Which with the Rift, you actually turn your head and look in that direction. So, anyways, this is amazing. I would love to play games like this, especially Star Citizen, Elite Dangerous. And as I put in the show notes here, I don't want this at all. I need this.
This is it's partly amazing and partly I hate it, because I look at my desk and I look at what I've got set up, which I think is actually a fairly reasonable setup. I think on the scale of fortune in the universe and everything like that, I'm actually quite lucky, and I've done a good job putting together my components and building my rig. And then I see something like this, and I'm like, there's no chance. It's not even that I wouldn't even have the money with it, because I bet you I could scrape up the money to put together a setup like this. There's no chance I'd ever have the time or the space in my house.
Yeah. Now, those extra monitors there, are those actually? Do you think those are actually working monitors?
Those are tablets. He said right up the front. If you have an ear for German, like I do, of course. And you can read subtitles. It says that they're actual 3 tablets that are kind of been mixed together into like he's built a console to house all 3 tablets. Does it interact with the game? Is it actual stuff from the game, or is it just static pictures for immersion? I've looked at it. He's got his engineering and weapons and sliders and everything. Right? Yeah, and he's actually changing the sliders there. So I don't know if that's part of the app. Like, is that the Elite Dangerous app?
No, you cannot change your power distribution with the app. I have no idea what he's doing here, but it's amazing. This looks if this were the set for a science fiction movie back in the 80s or 90s, it would be convincing enough. Yeah.
My theory is that those tablets are all running remote access applications to his PC, and those are like screen 3, screen 4, and screen 5, or screen 4, 5, and 6 on his PC, and he's somehow broken out those UI elements into their own windows.
It is moddable, evil. I keep saying evil one. Elite Dangerous is moddable. It is possible to do things with the game. I think this is, but it's. This looks like a fairground attraction. This looks like something you...
Yeah. You know, it reminds me actually in a way of the... I know that in Seattle they actually have the MechWarrior pods that you can go to. And I've been meaning to go every time we go to PAX. But they're actual, semi-virtual reality pods you go into with immersive screens and stuff like that. And you go in and you play MechWarrior. So that's kind of cool. That would be fun to do. Anyways, all right, let's move things along.
I'm completely mesmerized by his...
Yeah, me too. Just keep staring at it.
Yeah. All right, Bill. I think no man should be without that previous setup. What do you think?
I agree. Harry, what do you think?
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, whoops.
Doesn't matter. I mean, I don't. It's not like I got up at 6 a.m. for this or anything. To be ignored. There is this game called No Man's Sky, and it was, I think, it was announced about a year ago, and everybody's jaw dropped to the floor. It is a space shooter type game that is procedurally generated, and you have complete freedom to land on planets, get off the planet, fly to other stars, and the goal seems to be to get to the center of a galaxy that is just as big as our own galaxy. And I'm not talking about Elite Dangerous here. It isn't. It sounds like, and this is I think the trap for this game, because if you describe it like I just did, you think this is a competitor to Elite Dangerous or to Star Citizen, but it's actually created by a 3-man team doing just their little indie thing, and have a game which looks very much like these big titles, but probably isn't. They released a new trailer that shows a starship flying into the atmosphere of a planet, skimming down to the surface, actually getting out of the ship and taking a look at procedurally generated dinosaurs that were stomping around there. And if that also sounds familiar, that's because the reveal trailer of a year ago basically showed the exact same thing, but with different procedurally generated dinosaurs. This might be a hint that the game isn't as varied as one might hope for a big galaxy, but then again, it is a small game, and it looks like one of those indie darlings that would have been amazing if people just freaking stopped comparing it to Elite Dangerous.
Mm-hmm. All of a sudden, my monitors just went away. Both of my main ones.
You have to buy new ones, right? You have to get that Elite Dangerous setup, right?
Right.
That's what you're saying, right?
Right.
Get projectors, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. 3 projectors on my walls.
No, I'm with you, Harry. I mean, it's really unfortunate that they're hitting the market at the same time, like because this and Elite Dangerous and Star Citizen were all roughly, like, not exactly the same time that they hit the gaming awareness scene, yeah. But close enough that they're obviously going to be direct comparables. They're married to each other in their life cycle. But yeah, this could have been a very cool thing on its own, and to look at this as a 3-man team developing what's there, that's impressive, and they deserve accolades, and it should be looked at as a really great accomplishment. But it's going to happen side by side with these 2 other games that are essentially AAA titles, and that's almost unfortunate for No Man's Sky.
It seems almost like No Man's Sky is an adventure game while the other 2 are action games.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
I think that's the idea. This is not about simulation. If you see the way, this is one of the things that I find a little bit jarring when I first saw it, because my mind was set to space sim. But you see the ship just flying into the atmosphere without any trouble, without any turbulence,
right.
And 3 seconds later you are down to the planet surface. I watched this from a Kerbal perspective. And
sorry,
no, well, it is funny, but it's also fact that space travel, when viewed through the Kerbal lens, isn't like it's presented in No Man's Sky. But the great thing, and what I love about it, is the art style, which is very and they said as much. Do you remember those covers for science fiction books back in the 70s and mainly the 60s and 70s? These paintings, these exotic spaceships and landscapes in bright colors, and it's that style of art. It's very reminiscent of the cover of a Heinlein novel or an Arthur C. Clarke book back in the day. Mm-hmm. Those covers that didn't really have that much to do with the actual story inside, but just were cool science fiction art.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm looking at the video here, and I'm getting vibes from even looking at like Ringworld or looking at Dune or
yes, exactly
that
stuff. Yeah.
So
yeah,
it's. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
I was just gonna say I can't see anything on my monitors. We're gonna keep going because hey, whatever. I'm still recording audio, but I can't see show notes, so I don't know what's next.
Well,
the next. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Bill. Take control.
I was going to say, why don't we just give a quick shout out to? I will wrap up No Man's Sky here, and we'll give a quick shout out to our sponsors at GoDaddy. If you're looking for any kind of hosting or any kind of internet presence out there, GoDaddy's been a really great source of that for MMO Reporter for a very long time, and we encourage you to definitely check them out. If you're looking for 30% off of your GoDaddy purchase, we have a code for that, MMO30. Funny enough, 30% for MMO30. So check that out, GoDaddy.com. Also, Doghouse Systems. We've had our MMO Reporter family purchase systems from Doghouse Systems. Carrie's got a Doghouse system. Thrilled with it. They're a great boutique dealer if you're looking for something that's a little bit custom built and just a really solid gaming system, because that's really what Doghouse Systems is all about. Check out doghousesystems.com, and you know what makes every gaming system better is more RAM. So why don't you double your RAM when you put an order in at doghousesystems.com by using the coupon code MMO Reporter. Star Citizen apparently has a problem, according to Louis Burnell over at 10 Ton Hammer, in that it has too much money and people should stop giving them money. See, I have that problem all the time, so I can relate. Said no one ever.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He scores!
Nice. Boy, you've been practicing all week, and the little bit of ribbing that we do about your timing with the soundboard, and you
did
become
work though.
you an expert. So brilliant. Anyway, yes, Louis Bit. Okay, that wasn't bad.
Oh, that's bad.
Okay. Anyway, Louis Burnell over at 10 Ton Hammer did a little op piece on the funding of Star Citizen, and he basically kind of takes the tack that Star Citizen has enough money. They haven't delivered anything yet, and if the world was a just place, they would either stop taking money or people would stop giving them money. Now, that is a big oversimplification, because it's actually quite a long and fairly detailed piece talking about this, but it kind of brings up an interesting question. I mean, we talk a lot about crowdfunding here and its place in bringing up indie games and kind of separating what gamers want from what publishers want to deliver. And yeah, so what do you guys think? Is there something to this? Is Star Citizen too successful as a crowdfunded game?
I'm pretty sure that this is the soundtrack in their offices. Because they get a lot of money, and I'm not sure if they're going to be able to create a game that is going to be worthy of the amount of money that's been crowdsourced to it. It's really, really hard to do that. I mean, Chris Roberts is a fantastic visionary game maker. I mean, look at the games that he's created in the past. But, I mean, they were expecting to make a game for what, $2 million in the beginning?
$500K was
well,
their
plus
original,
other backers, right?
Yeah, was their original goal. Well, yeah, they were planning to have other sources of income, but it was like $2 million was, I think, their wildest dreams, in like a perfect scenario for them.
Yeah.
What I just
go ahead.
Make your point.
No, I'm done. Go ahead.
Well, before this turns into the Wacky Dave morning show with the sound effects. Okay. What I serious discussion here. This is like NPR. We have to be serious. This is just economics and stuff. No, really, no sound effect there. Okay. Right. The thing is, the point that's made in the article, which I find very well put. They asked for $2 million, give or take half a million, but they asked for $2 million to make this game. They got that. Instead of making the game they promised that they would make for $2 million, they said, now we're going to ask for even more money to make a different game, to add more stuff to it. And we got money for that. Now we're not even making that which we promised when we got more money. We want even more money to make another different game, which is basically the same game, but with extra stuff. And this is a very weird way of doing things. What I would have expected, which is what Elite Dangerous has been doing. Elite Dangerous started the same way. They said, we want to make a space sim like people loved in the days when they were popular. We need X amount of money, and when we reach that goal, we're going to make that we have promised. And if we get more money than that, we will start working on expansions or sequels or whatever to make the game better and grow it over time, and people can get more than they had. But they start with creating the actual game that they envisioned when they asked for the money. And this is a fundamental difference in what Star Citizen is doing. They keep promising the moon, and once people paid for the moon, they throw in Jupiter. And that just doesn't... They still haven't delivered a coherent gameplay experience, while Elite Dangerous has been playable and evolving as an actual game with a loop of systems and rewards and goals for over 6 months.
Mm-hmm. I really think that the incredible success that they've had with crowdfunding as basically being the poster child for getting a game crowdfunded is that their success has been crippling for them. I can just see how these meetings are going, where they say, okay, well, we've got another $10 million, and what should we spend it on? I don't know.
Okay, but
it's basically making what they've already done, and if they ever did have a tight vision that they could actually deliver in a small piece, like in a reasonable package, this is now blowing up into a AAA title, like we've mentioned before, but it's almost too unwieldy. They've gotten, the game design has grown by leaps and bounds in a really short amount of time. Like what they're talking, the changes that I think so. Like with the features that they've talked about adding since their original Kickstarter is almost the amount of features that if you'd made a trilogy of these games and then expansion packs on top of them. Instead, they're taking all those features where they're adding the MMO components and the additional story, or the big story and everything like that. And they still don't have anything that they've actually released yet.
You know what this reminds me of? Daikatana.
A little bit. Now, go ahead. No,
well, the point that is I don't think adding stuff to a design, I mean, there's nothing wrong with being ambitious and saying, having stretch goals, for example, but they don't stick to their guns. They should be wise enough. Every other crowdfunding game that I've seen says, this is the game we're making. Who wants to buy it? They get a list of people who invest money or basically put down their money up front and say, we trust you, make this game that you're promising to make. Then they go and make it. And if they get more orders, that doesn't mean they're going to change the game. It means they sell more copies of the same game. And what they're doing now is mushrooming it into this weird situation that logic would suggest if they got, let's say, $50 per user, and they got now a million people giving them $50. That doesn't mean the game should be bigger. That should just mean more people get the game that was promised to them. And I want to see that game they promised, and not see. And I don't believe that we're seeing even the original design in the very near future, and that worries me. And that makes me all the more cautious about the whole crowdfunding and pre-order system.
Right, and one of the things that's different about the continued crowdfunding of Star Citizen is that they're not just having this donate to our game thing. They're selling ships. Basically, that's what the funding has been since the Kickstarter stopped. If you want to generalize it, I am generalizing a bit, but people are buying ships to play in the game. So this isn't necessarily crowdfunding at its truest form of here's money, make the game. It's
microtransactions.
Exactly. Yeah. But they're calling it funding. And
it's
unfortunately, it puts an undue pressure, I think, on the developer, because now they can't just take that as profit. They have to show that they are, by calling it crowdfunding, they have to take all this money and put it into the game. They can't just make a bleep ton of money.
Mm-hmm.
And I
thought you were going to say ship, but you were saying another word.
That would be funny. But that's kind of scary for a developer, because he can't just say, "Yay! People are buying these ships in the store. We're making more money." It's now, "Yay! People are buying ships in the store. We have to make something. How are we going to use that money?"
But it's even worse because they're selling ships for a game that doesn't exist.
Right. So
it's a pyramid
this is getting
scheme.
a little bit I think. If it collapses, then we can start saying stuff like that. I don't want to quite get into that yet, because I do think that they have every faith, every intention of creating a kick-ass space sim.
The thing is, and we've talked about this a couple of times on previous episodes, there's only so much time that you can spend at the front of the hype train. Eventually, the hype train is going to run out of hype gas, and people are going to get bored and say, "Okay, we've been excited long enough." Exactly. Deliver us something, hand something over. And when you're talking about a $2 million project, you know what? When you're from a game development standpoint, that's probably something that you should be able to deliver in a year or two or something like that. But a $60 million project, even if you're bringing in tons of resources, you can't coordinate that many resources to be able to bang something out that's a $60 million game in a short amount of time. So they've got the hype train going straight up, and the patience of the audience going straight down, but they're crippled by the fact that now we have to make a $60 million game. We can't make a $2 billion game and call it $58 million worth of profit, even though...
Bill, one thing, because the way you phrase it, and I don't know if it is conscious, but you're almost making it out like they are the victims of their own success, and that's not the case here. It's not like they're in a panic, like, "Oh my God, they keep giving us money. What will we do with it?" That's not it. They are actively seeking this extra money without delivering something that is worth that money. And I've said this last week. It's the problem, the trap that they seem to have fallen into is, if you're crowdfunding, you are a salesman trying to get as much money as you can. But if you're a developer, you have to manage expectations of your future customers in what you're able to do with that money. What they seem to be doing at this point is not managing expectations. They've just learned they've learned how to create money. And they haven't learned how to create a game that is worth that money.
And that's the problem. The thing is, though, and from a principle standpoint, I agree with you 100%. From a real world standpoint, though, they're not going to say, like, it's crazy to think that a game developer who's looking for a home run. I mean, this is very much like the movie industry and that kind of thing, where there's a dozen failures for every crazy success, and that's what keeps people coming. It would be crazy to say, no, I don't want your money. Just hang on to it. That's not
crazy.
It is. It's crazy. From a principled standpoint, no. I would love it if they sat back and said, "You know what? We actually only needed $20 million to make the game we wanted to. We're going to donate the other $40 million to charity, and we're going to shut down donations or funding until we're actually ready to deliver a product."
That's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is, and this is, I'm not saying they should stop getting money for the game, even if they keep people but the problem is, let's say the game, I can't really do math. Let's say the game is $1 million to make, and and every participant invests $1. So you have 1 million people paying $1 to get that game funded. Now all of a sudden they have 10 million people donating, investing, or buying the game. They shouldn't make a bigger game. They just have a bigger list of customers for that original game, and that's what they should be doing.
Right.
There is a certain point at which you lock down your design. When I'm writing a novel, and I cannot say at a certain point, you know what, I'm 2/3 of the way through the story. You know what, I'm going to make it 1,000 pages rather than 200.
Yeah.
You have to have this. You have to have this plan in advance and work towards that. And they are planning a moving target. At least that's what they're selling. And I'm beginning to lose faith that that is actually what they're doing. They should just make the base game and expand from that and take money as a pre-order now and not as a crowdfund.
Yeah, no, I'm actually agreeing with you. And in principle, that would be, I think that would be the heartwarming story here. But that's not what's happening, because they've got their accountants and they have a sales team that knows that they can keep garnering funding here. But I think at the other side of it, they're saying, you know what, now that we've got this funding, we have to translate that into a game. And that's what I'm saying, is that my suspicion is that they've been crippled by their own success here, that they can't commit to a design and a game to deliver, that they're feeling an obligation to build to the funding level that they've received. But and that's going to ultimately be a disaster for them. I'm agreeing with you here.
Yeah, but it's
You're
still
right, Harry. You're absolutely right.
Whoa.
I don't
Hold
accept
on.
that. I don't accept that.
Do we need to have a new shirt?
Yeah, Harry was right, but he won't admit it.
No, it's just frustrating to me that a game gets so much attention for promising so much, and that other game that I've said from the beginning, they have done what I wanted them to do. They got a lot of money, they built the game, and then disappointed their customers by removing a feature. That's the way it should be. That's the way nature intended game development.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. The out of the two, if I had to pick as a fan, I would like to see people in the future behave the way Frontier has done. Set a target, set a scope, and deliver that. And then if you're wildly successful, iterate again later. Because I mean, that's a dirty word. Like when you're talking about projects and that kind of thing, scope creep is a very, very dirty word. And I think that Star Citizen could almost be the textbook example of scope creep.
And also there is this thing that Elite Danger, Chris has made a couple of jokes about the walking in stations thing, because what Elite Dangerous is creating a game where they already took into account that they will launch an expansion where you can walk in your ship and in stations and eventually walk on planet surfaces. And people, not just Chris, but the internet snickers at the term walking in stations because, see, EVE Online tried it and they failed. No, they didn't fail because that is a bad idea. EVE Online failed because they created a station to walk in and didn't have any damn thing to do there.
Right.
They created a walk-in closet and said, "Guys, be happy. You can walk into your closet." And we invested this much time in it, and we've ignored the rest of the game just to you can have this walk-in closet. The trap that Elite is not falling into is they're saying we want to do this right. We want to do this when we have gameplay in there, but they're planning it as a whole. They're not just adding it as a feature. I have the original Frontier in a box next to me from GameTech, a company that also launched other crappy games, by the way. But They had, in the original Frontier, which was the sequel to Elite, the option to land on planets. Every planet you could land on. You had little cities. It's terrible graphics, obviously, but for the time, it was impressive. So they know how to do this. And what Star Citizen, they tantalize you by showing you 30 seconds of first-person shooter footage. They show you a spaceship flying through space, but they don't show you how it all works together, and they seem to be heading into that EVE Online black hole where the idea might be good, but the execution isn't thought through.
Yeah.
That's definitely the fear. I mean, 6 months could put the lie to all of that. But right now, if you look at the body of evidence that we've got right now, that's kind of the picture that's being painted.
But stop agreeing with me, Bill. It's so annoying.
You know,
you're right, Harry. I'll try to stop.
Stop it!
That's the new shirt. Bill agreed with Harry on December 9th, 2014. All right. A couple of quick announcements here, and Harry, I know you're down for the second one here, but I'm just going to mention them both quick, and you can chime in on the second one. Orcs Must Die Unchained, I know we've talked about a little bit on the show, has been announced for PS4, so if you want to check that out, you can sign up for the beta on their site. We'll have links in the shows. And PlayStation Planetside 2 PS4 beta is also accepting sign-ups for that. Harry, are you going to jump in there in Planetside 2 on PS4?
I have not yet played Planetside on PC, so I'm very curious to see it on the console. I think SOE has done a pretty good job of translating DC Universe Online to the PlayStation 3 and PlayStation 4. Mm-hmm. It's one of those forgotten console MMOs that's still running and actually doing quite well. And I think Planetside 2 translates much better to a console than any other type of MMO because of its shooter nature. So I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Yeah. And I'm kind of looking forward to, I think Orcs Must Die Unchained is going to translate really well to console as well. It's got that quick gameplay, which I think will be really, really fun.
Do you have your PlayStation 4 already?
Not yet, but I have changed. I have decided to go with PlayStation 4 rather than Xbox One, which was my first thought for a while. Part of it is to hopefully get a chance to play with you sometimes, and also the remote play with the Vita is a big thing.
That works very well as long as you're in range, because it works very well. I've played actual Dragon Age on the couch downstairs while my PlayStation 4 is upstairs.
Right, as long as you're on the same. Does it do a direct connection, or does it go through Wi-Fi as well?
You can choose.
Okay.
If you have your PlayStation 4 in your living room, then you can just use the direct connection. You have the best possible connection. If you're getting out of range, you can just go through your wireless router. But then it is advised to have your PlayStation 4 connected by cable.
Yeah, it will be. Anyways, yeah. So that's my thought. Then I can have my PS4 downstairs in my room here for streaming and stuff like that. But then I can also go upstairs and play upstairs and be around people and social, because that's sometimes important.
PlayStation 4 is
the Vita in your face. I love it.
The idea is well, of course.
I don't like all the TV my wife watches. Thank you very much. So.
I thought you were going to say I don't like all the people around me, so I don't want to look at them.
That's only when Bill visits.
PlayStation 4 is the best console since the 360, and this one doesn't break.
Hey, no red ring of death?
Not yet.
Good. All right, I want to mention real quick a couple things. Our CafePress store is open if you are looking for something to give your loved ones over the holidays. We've got a whole bunch of different stuff that you can get, a whole bunch of different T-shirts that you can get, mouse pads, bags, hats, all that sort of stuff, all through our CafePress store. So please go check them out. And I'm really quite impressed with the MMO Reporter logo, the new one that we've got for the podcast, not for the network. Just the text of it actually is really, really nice on a shirt. I believe I'm going to be getting myself one of those because it looks really, really cool. So go and check that out, because that's kind of awesome. And as well, of course, we've mentioned it a couple times before, our Patreon page. Please go check it out. Patreon.com/MMO Reporter. Really would love to have all of you support what we do here at the MMO Reporter Network. We've got some great rewards if you want to check it out, and some milestone goals as well. We are only $22 away from our next goal. Go check it out.
Where did you get all those people to wear all that MMO apparel?
I know people.
It's so impressive.
I mean, get stuff done.
All those models there standing there with all those different kinds of shirts. It's fantastic.
I know. I'm amazing. That's what it comes down to, Harry. You just got to get used to it.
But we must be overstocked, so everything must go to these low prices.
Everything must go. All right, Bill, if people want to get a hold of us, how can they do that?
Check out our website over at MMOreporter.com, which is the central hub for all your MMO Reporter goodness and needs. Send us an email, mmo.reporter@gmail.com. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/MMO Reporter. You tweet at any of the MMO reporters, either at MMO_reporter for Chris, at Harry Hall for Harry Hall, at Leonor for Leonor, and at MMO Bill for yours truly. Give us a call at 616-666-6778, or click on the widget on the MMOreporter.com site. Check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/user/MMO Reporter Network for all of our videos of our podcasts and conference coverage and all that kind of good stuff. Check out the MMOreporter.com/support page for different ways that you can support the MMO Reporter Network, such as patreon.com/MMO Reporter, as Chris just mentioned.
Thanks, Bill.
You're welcome.
It was fun recording. This was a good show. I really enjoyed it.
Excellent show. All kinds of pants I noticed.
Yes.
I think the pants were a bonus.
There was no shortage of pants here.
I like
I knew
pants.
I forgot something.
And Harry,
the pants to podcaster ratio was correct.
Yes. And Harry, it's always fun when we get to dig in on a couple of topics like we did here tonight. It's always nice to do that and be able to chat about something a little bit more deep than the news, isn't it?
Yeah, but I just can't get used to Bill agreeing. It is
really
wrong.
weird, isn't it? It's really weird.
It's wrong.
Yeah, you're right.
And we're agreeing on that too.
All right. Thanks, guys. It was just an absolute blast to record with both of you tonight. Thanks to our chat room. We had quite a few people in there chatting away and talking about all the different stuff we were talking about. So thanks for all those people who came out. Thanks to all of you who download the podcast week after week. We really appreciate it. We hope that you download the podcast again. But most importantly, we hope to see you in game. All right. I need to save this stuff.
Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at. Don't forget about your ults you need to cherish. Each and every little character you've got, no matter what level they're at.
Thanks for watching the video, everybody. Don't forget to check out all the other podcasts at MMOreporter.com or by clicking on any of the links here. And please check out our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MMOReporter. Thanks, everyone, and see you in game.